That's too many secrets, military. That's too many secrets. When your Navy is bigger than the next 13 navies combined, we're getting a little too big for our britches. Okay? We need to suck some money back out of the military and put it with our people and our infrastructure. That's my view. Entitlements are an issue. Social Security is an issue. The way we spend is an issue. Presidents aren't really an issue. Presidents come and go. But if you'll notice, the country's path kind of stays the same. Congress is an issue, but you know what happens? People get confused. There's too many of them. I can't track that. I'd like to cast all my angst onto this motherfucker here that's the head of the country. Yeah, I want to piss on his head. Well, he's not really doing anything. You know, he's our spokesperson. He's our cover boy. And it's going to be a woman, I think, in 2016, whether it's the right or the left. I think we're going to have a woman in there. I think it's time to go ahead and flush racism and sexism out. Let's see where we are. That's really what this is, isn't it, America? It's a cultural check, isn't it? It's a cultural gut check. That's what's happening in America. You don't hear it. Nobody's talking about it, but they're thinking about it. Let's get a black eye in office. See if we can handle this. Let's get a woman in office. See if we're ready for that. What's going to be next? A Hispanic. What's going to be after that? An Asian woman. What's going to be next after that? A motherfucking Indian transvestite who's changed sex 3 times and who may be gay temporarily. That comes next. That's what we test for next. That's what we got to see if we're ready for that. I don't know. If you pull up your skirt and you're confused, then I'm definitely going to be confused. Just fucking pick one. Pick one and stick with it, okay? It doesn't matter which one you pick to me. But if you got scars and you're going, well, that was from an old surgery, and I don't know. I feel like a man today. Today I feel like a man, and I've got both organs. But I think tomorrow I might feel like a woman. It depends on, I don't know what's affecting me. Is it spirits? Is it chemicals? Is it drugs? Tomorrow I'm going to feel like Joan of Arc. But today I feel like Pee Wee Herman, and that's just the way I am. Let me pull up my skirt. Look, I got everything. I have options. That's what I have. Now, we're going to have that president someday, folks. We're going to have that president just to prove we can handle it. We give ourselves these cultural tests, don't we? We are a self-regulating population. Interesting. Very interesting stuff. Sorry to make fun of trannies. That was not my intent, but goddamn it was funny to me. Hi, Grandpa Al. Thank you for being in the chat, my friend. Grandpa Al, I don't know if I have your promotion loaded. I don't think I do, but I'm on a loaner right now, so until I get my new computer in and set up, we're doing everything a little bit differently. So let me just make sure I'm still coming through. Yes. Okay, let's make sure the mic button is still pressed. It is. I've seen the mic button inside Radio Boss routinely become unpressed as I fuck around. So, Radio Boss, some of the most excellent radio broadcasting software you'll ever find, yet even after a year, I have not fully learned its capabilities and how to operate it properly. And that's not saying anything about the program. It's very user-friendly. It's just that it's deep. It's deep, and you got to read. Especially if you have a big station. You know, you can use this to run a big station. I'm running this little show, and I'm trying to use half the features I don't even fucking need, you know, for quality enhancement and things, and that's costing me. 11 minutes and 3 seconds until the hour. That's strange. Why would I say that? I don't know. Just felt like saying it. It's okay, my friend. Always a pleasure hearing you. Thank you, Grandpa Al. I was transvestites are gonna write in and call in and complain because I laughed nearly hysterically when discussing that would be our upcoming, several generations down the road, presidential election to test ourselves to see what we're ready for. The new link. Kim's asking for the new link to the show. Let me give her that. Oh, I'm just going to give her the page because there's always a live show on the page, and that goes for the rest of you too. If you get confused because I have a show that fails and then I got to put it off a half hour, just go to the show's page and you'll see when the live one pops up. Normally I schedule them. So that'll come up, and then you'll see the live episode, so that's good. Again, we are in a transitional phase right now. I got my first donation. Thank you, Barco, for upgrading equipment and getting services. So the first thing we're getting is a new laptop. And this probably wouldn't have happened as fast. I would have tried to save up some more money to do this. But my cat, my lovely cat princess, took my laptop, everything. She was walking on my laptop, and she's like a drunk. She doesn't realize she's going to knock shit over. And she never takes responsibility for it. She thinks someone else did it. She took my laptop, my mouse, the mouse pad, the power supply, the big padded thing that I use to put it on, like a lap cushion type thing that's hard on the top but soft on the bottom. All of that was in the floor. All of that was in the floor. Well, I brought it back up, and it was still working. So, but I was having some slow issues. So I rebooted the system, never could get back into Windows. So I think what she did is she damaged the hard drive with that fall. And it had fallen before, so it was already on its way out. So yes, that accelerated the rate at which we're going to have to replace the computer. And that means that the show is going to be, it's going to be improved greatly within the next week, because I'll have the processing power I need and the reliability in the system I need. We're getting a Gateway, and I fully trust Gateways. I worked for Gateway. They have some of the best laptops you can get. Plus, I'm an IT guy, so I know how to fix my own shit, except for physical issues. You can't fix a broken hard drive. You just can't. It's, if you've got the right technology, you can rip them open in a lab. You don't want any dust getting on the platters, and you can magnetically read the information off. But once a hard drive read-write head crashes into a platter, it's like a plane crashing into a runway, and you thinking that you can still use that runway 5 seconds after that happens. And you just can't. So anyway, that was a sort of a weird analogy, but I'm a sort of a weird guy making that perfectly consistent with who I am. And that's what you find with this show. Is coffee good or bad for me? Healthy lifestyle, nutrition, and healthy eating from Mayo Clinic. We'll talk a little bit about the newer research with coffee. Basically, the bottom line is this. Coffee may have fewer risks compared with benefits, but keep in mind that other beverages such as milk and some fruit juices contain nutrients that coffee does not. Also, adding cream and sugar to coffee adds more fat and calories. We know this. Some coffee drinks contain more than 500 calories. We know this. This isn't a long article, and although it's from a great source, I don't know. I don't think this is telling me what I wanted to tell you. So I'm going to go to another source that I respect. We already talked about the one on WebMD, so I'm going to skip that one. That was probably 15 shows ago. And I'm looking at some of the others. I'm trying to stay away from just news sources and get to something a little more scientific. Well, let's see who. I often find that although the Huffington Post commentary leans way left, it seems that their scientific articles are always quoting a science source. That doesn't mean that they're not cherry picking their articles to serve their purposes. I think most news sources do that, but I don't want to give you something that's leaning. I like to give you something that's just fact. So if I think I'm getting something that's leaning a little left or right, I'll tell you up front. And this is about coffee, folks. I don't sense politics in this, so we're going to talk about it. This is by Renee Jacques, would be the proper way to say it. But before we talk about coffee, we're going to talk about sounding smart. Then again, this is a freestyle show giving me the freedom to talk about coffee before we talk about sounding smart. And tell me this, are you able to sound smart before you have coffee? I didn't think so. So maybe we should talk about coffee first. I'm going to share the page I'm reading from in the chat room so that you can follow along. Again, for anybody tuning in late, I cannot take phone calls while I'm on this loaner computer. I have an issue with sound. But we will have that resolved by, I expect, the end of next week, at the latest 2 weeks from now. Everything will be back the way it used to be with enhanced quality. So there is that. For those of you that were wondering how to donate, I talked about Barco donating earlier. We're really trying to upgrade the hardware and the software and the internet connection and get some research help and, hell, I don't know, some field reporters. Truth is what the mission is. Absolute truth. I don't give a fuck who it offends. I don't care which political angle it may go against. As long as it's absolute truth, it's coming at you from this station, from this host. And you are free as a listener to correct me. If you have the evidence, I will correct myself on the air. That's a good thing. When people tune in, I don't want them thinking, I don't know. What's this guy selling? What angle's he selling? Truth. Truth. Say it out loud right now. Truth. Truth. Truth is golden. It is absolutely beautiful. And it is lacking, especially in American culture. It's lacking. Lying has become a craft. Look at the headlines. You see the headline the other day? What did it say? Scientist proves that black holes don't exist. You go in, you find out what? They've done a little bit of research that brings some of the equations into doubt. From that, you get scientists proves that black holes don't exist? That was to get you in, folks. They lied. The scientists didn't prove that black holes don't exist. She barely even scratched the surface on disproving a couple theories. She just raised a couple questions. But it got you to click the link. We don't do that here. We don't do that here. And I'm against that. And I think we ought to punish for that. I think we ought to punish news sources for that. Say something in comments. You drew me in with this headline. You gave me this story. Or maybe the story is consistent with the headline, but the facts are shit. Because you fact-checked it and found out they were bullshitting you. Maybe they didn't even know they were bullshitting you. But that's their job to get their shit right before they present it to a major news source, a Fox News, an MSNBC, an NBC, a Huffington Post. They need to do their fucking research before giving you news. You're supposed to be able to trust your news sources. You cannot trust your news sources today. That's a sad thing in America. Lying. It's become an art form. Oh, deep brain stimulation, something I was looking up earlier. Very interesting stuff. If you haven't seen any videos on deep brain stimulation, they are really, really helping. A couple electrodes in the brain, a little tiny battery, and it gets people with Parkinson's and these weird conditions, like their muscles are combating themselves and they end up all in these contorted positions, allowing them to relax and be normal again. So I think deep brain stimulation's got a huge amount of promise for people with muscular and skeletal issues that are having a lot of pain in the future. Now, what I wanted to talk about first, let's go ahead and talk about coffee. But first, I got to check the chat room because my people are in there. Grandpa Al says, I'll be listening during my show. Starts at 2 p.m. Central. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, Grandpa Al, no, do your thing, brother. Do your thing, man. Don't, no, you got to do your thing, bro. I mean, you don't have to listen to my show while you're doing yours. That's your show, man. I'll promote your show, though. I'll share the link. I'm sorry that my show is crossing into your time. Didn't mean that. I never plan my shit. You know how I am. So I end up stepping on people's toes, and it's never, swear to God, I never look at schedules before I do a show to see who's got a show coming up. I just, let's do one. I'm in the mood. It's that simple. Anyway, we're going to talk a little bit about coffee, and then we're going to talk a little bit about sounding smart versus being smart, and we're going to give you specific examples. And I'm going to be talking about this guy, Clay Shirky. I'm also going to share with you a link to a TED Talk he did, one in which he actually pretty much impressed me, but again was using the big words unnecessarily. Sometimes you have to use big words, folks, because there are no small, or there are either no small words that equate to the definition that you're trying to share, or it would take 2 paragraphs of words of small words to explain this one major definition. You might have a word like, say, I don't know, cryptographical. Okay? How else are you going to explain that? Well, this has to do with the both art and science of either encoding or decoding a message that has been hidden from general public view. Why say that when you can say cryptographical? Okay, you see what I'm saying? But that's not usually the case when people use big words, especially, here's your clue, when they quote a small foreign phrase that isn't often used. It started with sans, you know it, that's French for without, okay? People that use that word are trying to sound a little smarter than the average person. You have to decide what that means to you. You might respect them for that. I don't. I respect true intelligence. And that's not shown through word choice usually. In fact, the more simple words you can use, generally, I can tell your intelligence through other means. If you're using the big words wrong, that is the first clue that you've spent a little more time with the thesaurus than you have with the textbooks. These are tricks I'm giving you to uncover people's true intelligence, folks. Now, not everybody's going to get 7 out of 10 questions right on a Jeopardy episode, okay? However, there are people who are portraying themselves as brilliant that are not. They're just not. And all of us, self included, have holes in our education. You know how much I know about auto mechanics? I know shit about auto mechanics. Bring me a broken car, and I can guarantee